Hello and welcome to Create Crochet and another video with me, Rebecca. In today's video I'm going to show you how to make a granny square triangle, so you can use it as a shawl or bunting or whatever you want. Now my shawl is quite big and it's made up of the traditional 3 cluster of the double crochet or triple crochet if you're in England, and you start at this point and you work out along the edges. I'm working in rows as opposed to working in the rounds. It's really easy and it's the sort of thing that you can pick up and put down. So I've done this one in like a lime green with a cream border. Now I'm going to show you how to do it. So the first thing that we need to do is make an adjustable loop. So holding your yarn in your fingers here, wrap over once, come through and take it over. And you have then this exaggerated X on your fingers. Come underneath this one and come over, take through that one, and as you come through, give it a twist. Now holding on to all of this section here with this hand, you're going to grab hold of it and remove these 2 fingers and then just chain 1. That chain 1 does not count as a stitch on our shawl. That chain 1 is only to hold your magic loop in place. Now you have the tail end here in the circle. We're just going to take that out. Doesn't matter if you don't normally do that, that's fine. And now we're going to chain 3. Every time you chain 3, it counts as a double crochet if you're in the US, or a single crochet if you're in the UK. So that's, let me just double check that, I'm not sure I did chain 3 there. One, 2 and 3. Now into this circle we're going to do 2 more double crochet. Now I am going to use the US term, but again, if you're in the UK, a double crochet is a triple crochet. So that's 1. And we're going to go yarn over, straight into the middle of the circle and bring up a loop, yarn over and come through 2, yarn over and come through 2. Now the hook size I'm using for this yarn is bigger than what the yarn ball requests, and I'm using a K or a 6.5mm, and as I said, it is bigger than what this yarn calls for. So that's what your work will look like right now. So you have your chain 3, which counts as your first double crochet, and then you have this post here or stitch, and then this one here, and that is what we call a cluster of 3. Now we're going to tighten up by pulling on the tail end, tighten up our magic loop to create our point. So hook back in the loop, tighten that back up. To get up to the next round we're going to chain 3, so 1, 2 and 3. And then with this piece here, we're going to turn it around. Now where this chain comes out of is this stitch here. This chain here into this stitch here. That's where we're going to put our next 2 double crochet. So yarn over, pick up the top 2 loops of our previous round stitch, yarn over and come through, and take off 2, take off 2, and then 1 more in exactly the same place, like so. To separate our clusters out, we chain 1, which gives us the gap in the middle, and then we're going to come across to the chains that we did on the previous round and go into the top of our 3 chain. And we're going to do 3 double crochet into that 3rd chain, not into the chain space, but into the actual top of the chain. That's 2, and then 3. And then we're going to chain 3 to get up to our next round. So your work will look like that, and then turn. Again into this loop, these 2 loops here, you're going to pick those up, and we're going to do 2 double crochet in here because the chain 3 counts as our first double crochet. You got it! You're all amazing. Like so. And then chain 1. So after you've done your cluster of 3 double crochet, you chain 1, and now we're going to go into the chain 1 space from the previous round. So yarn over into that whole gap, come through 2, come through 2. We're going to do that 3 times. So each cluster is made up of 3 stitches. Now be that a double crochet or the starting chain of a excuse me, a 3 chain. So that's our 3 double crochet, chain 1, and then we're going to go into the top of our 3 chain over here and not into this gap here. Just make sure I get into the top there. That's a little bit tight. So yarn over and come through, and we're going to put 3 double crochet in here. So that's 1, 2, and 3, and then chain 3. So if you can count to 3, you're on to a winner. So that's what your work will look like, and then turn it. And again, because we don't have a chain 1 gap, we're going to into the top of this chain here. Let me show you what I mean. I don't think I've explained that very well. So this is our 3 chain that we just did, and this stitch here, let me show you, move all that out of the way. This is the stitch where the chain 3 is coming out of. This one here. It's here that we're going to do our next cluster into this one here, because that's where our chain is. That's where we need to do our cluster. So we've chained 3 and we've turned our work. Just tying all that back up again. So yarn over and into that place where I've just shown you, we're going to do our 2 double crochet, because again the 3 chain counts as our first double crochet. And to finish the cluster off, we chain 1. Now we need to go into this chain 1 gap here, into the whole gap, not into any stitches, for 3 double crochets. That's 1, 2, and 3, and chain 1. Always chain 1 after your clusters, and into this chain 1 gap. 1, 2, 3, and chain 1. And here we are back at the edge. So you count up 1, 2, 3 chains. So it's this here that you have to get into, not the top of the double crochet, but into the 3 chain, the 3rd chain, I beg your pardon, in there. Now I am quite a tight chainer, forgive me. Yarn over, push that through, yarn over and come through, and we're going to do our 3 double crochet into there, every single round. So every single round is exactly the same, no matter which round you're on. 1, 2, 3, and turn. And that's what it should start to look like. So you've got your obvious clusters with your one chain space, and then you've got the edges coming up nice and straight down the edges. And the reason why they're coming up nice and straight is because you're putting your stitches into the top here. That gives it the nice straight edge. So let's do one more round together, or one more row together, excuse me, and then I will carry on doing mine for a little bit, and then I'll show you how to do the edges. So yarn over into the top of that stitch, and because we've chained 3, it counts as your first double crochet. So we only need to do 2 at the beginning of our round. Yarn over into our chain 1 gap, and this really does make a special present for someone, and it's the sort of thing where you, as I said, you can just pick up, put back down. It's great for a baby if you choose the right yarn. It can be quite heavy if you, and chain 1 by the way, if you go for a heavyweight yarn, it can be quite a heavy shawl, which is really, really nice if you're going camping and you've got your campfire on and it's all a bit chilly in the evenings. It's really nice to wrap up something that is warm but feels weighty as well, like you can feel it's on you. So into each, oops, a little bit of a knot there. So into each one of these clusters I am putting my 3 double crochet. Let's just undo this knot. And then I'm chaining 1. I think I'm making this worse. So then I'm chaining 1 to get into my next chain 1 space from the previous round. So I need to chain 1 here, and then into this 1 chain space from the previous round we're going to do our 3 double crochet. That's 1, 2, and 3, and chain 1, and this is where we come to our 3 chains. So we find our 3rd chain, which for me is this one here, and I make sure I'm going into the actual chain stitch and not the gap in between each of the stitches. That's 1, 2, and 3, and then chain 1, 2, and 3, and then turn our work and start working along this edge here. So that's how you do that. I'm going to show you now how to change colour. So let's pretend I didn't do that 1, 2, 3 chain, and I didn't turn it. Here's how I would change colour. In the one that I didn't actually change colour. You have a look at that for a second while I just sort my yarn out. I didn't actually change colour on the one that I did because I really, really, really did like the lime green one that I did. So I want to show you how to change colour in case you choose to. So you're going to make a slip knot by wrapping the yarn over, hold the cross section and pull your yarn through like so. Remove your hook from your work and put your hook, this is just to size it, put your hook into your slip knot and tighten it through so you have your loop there. back in with the purple, and we're going to go on there, so you have 2 loops, and then you're going to go 1, 2, 3 chains, and then you can just tighten all this up. So you have your 3 chain, turn, yarn over, and then you can just carry on as normal with your new colour. 1, 2, and then this would be our 3rd double crochet, because again that chain 3 counts as your 1st double crochet, and then along to your 1st, chain 1 gap and put your 3 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, chain 1, 1, 2, and 3, chain 1, 1, 2, 3, chain 1, take out some more yarn, 1, 2, 3, and chain 1. So this is where we need to find our 3 chain. So it's at the top. One, 2, 3, and then chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and turn. And that's what it would look like with a new colour. So carry on doing it until your shawl or blanket, whatever you're using it for, I actually use mine for both, also use mine as a scarf, until it measures the size that you want. And then I'll come back in a second and show you how to edge your shawl. So we're going to pretend that my shawl is done, and I fastened off my yarn over here, and now I'm going to show you how to do the edging along the side. Now the edging is a case of winging it a little bit, but what we're going to do is start at this top edge where you literally just finished your work, and you can tell it's this one because it has these loops at the top and they're like arrows all the way along. Don't start your edging at the corner. I always start my edging right in the middle. Don't know why, that's just the way I do it. I think it looks neater because then you don't have as many floppy ends to weave in at that one place. Okay, so we're going to start with our slip knot, and it's exactly the same as what we just did when we were changing colour. And pick it up, size it on your hook and remove your hook. Pick up your shawl and you're going to go into any one of those stitches. Put that back on. You're going to go yarn over and come through both this one and this one. May have made that loop just a little bit too small. No, there we go. And now we're going to do a single crochet in exactly the same place. So how to do a single crochet. So you have your work, you go back in the same place, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and come through both loops on your hook. And then moving to the next one, picking up both loops, single crochet. You only put one single crochet in each of the top until you get to the corner. Sorry, I've got an awful cough at the moment. It's driving me nuts. Across. Don't forget to put one into your chain one here. If you don't, you are decreasing the amount of stitches and it will change the shape of your shawl. If you find it hard to go through your chain space, it's okay. If you find it hard to go through your actual chain stitch, it's okay to go through your chain space. Oops, I was going to do a double crochet then. I'm not perfect. I'm not the perfect crocheter. I'll prove that in a minute actually. So in there, we're going to go all the way along. Don't forget my chain space. And then in here. All the way along until we get to the top of our 3 chain space. So into the top of the 3rd chain, we're going to do 1, 2, 3 single crochets. And now we're going to come down the side, and this is where I'm going to prove I'm not the best crocheter in the world. I'm going to prove that with crochet, to a certain degree, you have to wing it. At the top, there were very, very clear places to put your single crochet. Down the side, it's not as clear, and this is where you have to wing it, but try and keep things even. So I tend to go into, you see where you've got your 3 chains there? I tend to go into the gap here. So I'm going to put a single crochet there. Then we have the bottom of our 3 chain, which is here, and I put one there. So into the 3 chain gap, and then into the bottom of the 3 chain. Into the actual gap, and then you can see where the bottom of the 3 chain is because it has these stitches coming away from it, coming out. So that's where I'm going to go in. Into the gap, into the bottom of the 3 chains. I'm going to do that all the way along until I get to where I put my magic circle. Which is here. And we're going to do 1, 2, and 3. And then back up the other side. Exactly the same format. So I'm trying to make sure that how many stitches I did down this side here where I had to wing it, I'm trying to put the same amount of stitches on this side, just so that it keeps things a little bit even. because again, if you do more one side than what you did the other side, it will change the shape of your shawl, which will be a bit of a shame if you've worked quite hard on it. You do want it to sit flat. Right, and here we are at the top and about to go along our last couple of stitches. Now the reason why you put 1, 2 and 3 double crochet all into the same place is because it forces the yarn round and creates a point like that. And here we are, we're going back along our edge. We know exactly where our stitches are going. So this is how to do one round of stitches to create your border. Now if you wanted to go ahead and do another round just to make your border a little bit thicker, we've come to the place where we are going to join. So we go into the stitch here, we go into the top, and we just carry on. Bit fiddly on my work, must have done that quite tight, like so. And then we're just going to carry on going all the way around to give it a second layer of the edging. I find that you don't have to do the edging if you don't want to, but I find that it just kind of finishes it off a little bit. So let's see the difference between those. So this is my 2 layer of single crochet, and that's my 1 layer of single crochet. It's up to you how many layers you do, but that's how you do it. I am on Facebook, I do have a blog, and I have recently started on Twitter. I know, getting wound down with the technology. Thank you so much, my friends, for watching my video. Please post all your comments, pictures of your work, and anything that you want to share on Facebook, and let us all give you a round of applause. Thank you. Bye.